That's right. It's time for the Dog and Chicken Show. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Dog and Chicken Show. This is episode 17. We're starting to hit a new milestone here pretty soon, Tony. We do something special for 20, or are we just going to keep rolling with it?
Oh, I'm sure once we hit that that week, we'll want to do something fun. So we got a couple weeks figured out.
Oh, hell yeah, for sure. So real quick, before we get into tonight's topic, of course, always like, share, subscribe, so I don't have to put that stupid scrolly thing across the bottom of the screen like I did last week.
I don't know, I kind of liked it, honestly. It was kind of nice. I liked it.
Okay, well, in that case, I'll drop it down. It'll be right down here, folks, and click the little bell.
I kind of like it. It keeps the viewer like watching because it's just one of those psychological things. You're like, oh wait, there's a ticker. I need to pay attention to it, even though it's the same like shit that we're saying anyway. But I liked it.
Yeah. Well, I could always throw subliminal messages in there too and have some fun with it. And
that's basically where I'm going with it. Like, I think any agendas we want to push, ticker, we're good. I liked it.
Fantastic. All right. So do you want to introduce tonight's episode, Tony? This is one we've talked about several times. I don't know if it's going to be as epic as we wanted it to be. I think this might be a part one.
I was going to say, I think this is probably more introductory to the topic than it is anything because, we'll be honest, like, this is kind of thrown together. Like, I've had a very long day already of cleaning up after watching the Husker game yesterday and corralling kids, and it's been a little hectic around here, and didn't have a crap load of time to do research, but it's such a famous topic, you almost don't need to do a ton of research because it's almost ingrained in your mind if you've paid attention to it in the slightest. This topic, of course, is going to be diving into the JFK assassination and the various conspiracy theories that go along with it. Like I said, it's already so well documented. We're essentially just doing our commentary on it and our initial thoughts. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think this is definitely more so a part one because there's so much detail. And of course, was it last year or even more recent that they released a bunch more documents and information on it?
So yeah, it's like a rule with what is it? Assassinations? I don't remember. There's like a law or rule or something that the federal government, after 25 years, has to release all the information unless the current standing or sitting president decides not to. And Trump, of course, was like, "No, let it go, man. Like, let it all go." Except for 1% of documentation is still completely withheld.
Yeah, he initially withheld it, but did he not eventually do it, or is there still a little bit being withheld?
Last I read, there was still that 1% withheld. Not only that, but then like of the last 10% that came out, there was a lot of redacted information.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I'm sure there's some national security thoughts and
some
that was Clinton names dropped in there, or Bush's or something.
Well, yeah, the reasoning that Trump had to not release all the data was it made it sound like super epic. So now people are gonna be even more interested. So yeah. I don't know if that was a good thing or not. Maybe should have just not touched that one. But yeah, I guess we'll see if that ended up getting released or not.
Yeah. That's kind of how this whole thing has gone from the start. So what was it, November 22nd in Plaza Square? We've all heard about it in Dallas, Texas. President Kennedy and the governor, both of their wives, and then as if you look back into the Mandela Effect episode that we did, there was a car with 3 rows of seats, and it really throws you off when you look at it.
Yeah, it is. I think that's mostly due to the fact that it's so well documented that Connolly and Kennedy were the two that got hit. So you don't think about the actual size of the car and the people inside the car other than them. But yeah, it still throws you for a loop. You look at that car for the first time in a while, and you see that there's 3 rows of seats. You go, whoa. That's clearly Photoshop. It's not. Yeah, it's creepy. It's weird. And that's the initial thing that I guess got us on this topic again, looking at it. But
Well,
There's
part of that was because as we research this, and you sent me a couple YouTube links, and I've been looking at stuff, off and on over the years, but especially this week, trying to prep a little bit for this one. All the reenactments, they all just show a regular car, and it's a limousine. It's convertible limousine is what
yeah.
he was driving in. So it has the third row, and it's not like a typical limousine you would see. So I think it's some of that thought when you see that Mandela effect picture is you're like, oh well, I saw on Oliver Stone's movie JFK that it was only two seats, or I don't even know, maybe that movie had three, but so many of these reenactments you see them on the History Channel, Discovery Channel, but they all have the wrong vehicle, but they're not focused on the vehicle. They're trying to
No,
disprove
no, and
they're
that
trying to
just kind of
disprove other things.
yeah, and that just kind of furthers the easy idea that the mind is such an easily fooled thing. So yeah, and that kind of leads into a lot of the conspiracy talk as well, because it's so natural to look at something and how it goes down and try to pick it apart, especially something as high profile as this. When somebody of the stature of the president gets assassinated, and it happens in such an open way, and then the following events are so strange and so they feel like a cover up. It's just natural to assume that it is, and people start looking for ways to connect the dots, whether or not there are dots to connect.
Absolutely. And here's the deal. So it's one of those things in our generation's JFK is 9/11. Like seriously,
Yeah,
and within hours of JFK being assassinated and the Twin Towers being hit, within hours conspiracies came flooding in. Now, both incidents, right or wrong, there's reasons to think there was a conspiracy, and there's stuff going on that make people, ask a lot of questions, and when you don't have answers to those questions, that lets the wondrous mind that we all have just wander about. And some people just question everything. There's nothing wrong with questioning everything, and that's where these conspiracies are born from, is people that have questions and nobody gives an answer to. So
yeah.
JFK, holy cow, that had a ton of questions and so many weird little nuances behind it. So uh first off, I guess we'll start off with Oswald. Um,
Yes.
single shooter from sixth floor book depository. Do you think he did it? T? Was it just him?
I think there's no doubt in my mind that he was a shooter and probably the shooter. If there is only one shooter, it probably was him. If you watch some of the obviously you watch the footage, you watch the angle, you watch the distance, the speed of the car, all the intricate details of this, and it looks incredibly suspicious that he could possibly have been this good of a marksman. Now, today we can recreate that with 3D imaging. We can recreate that actually by replicating Kennedy's skull, the car, the distance, the height, so on and so forth. We can recreate that. And people do that. And I think one of the links I sent you actually does a recreation of that. And it kind of proves that it is absolutely possible. And you don't even necessarily need to be a super skilled marksman, because the theory there was always that Oswald was not a specifically skilled marksman. Like, you needed to be a top gun marksman to make the shots that he made. But today, you can look at it and recreate it and go, well, he either A, got lucky, or maybe you didn't need to be as good as we originally thought. And the gun, I wanted to say that the research I was doing at the time cost maybe like $30 tops. The scope, the
Yeah, it
gun.
was it was like $13, and the scope was
Yeah.
$7. I think is what
Yeah.
it said.
Some astronomically low number by today's standards, and it's not even like a super impressive gun. It's just a recycled war gun, I believe.
Yeah, the Kirkonwa, or
Yeah,
I
that's
can't,
something
something
similar. Yes.
something along that. I don't know. So Oswald, there's a lot around Oswald that makes this more fascinating. Is is the CIA was tracking Oswald for like 5 years prior to the assassination, and the dude had been to he'd been to Russia a few times, and of course, this is communist red scare time, and we're in the middle of the Cold War, so everybody's freaked out. Is he a puppet of Castro? And we had the Bay of Pigs kind of blunder that came about with Kennedy, and some folks thought maybe this was communism trying to get back at Kennedy for taking a shot at them and horribly screwing that whole deal up.
Well, I believe it was 7 weeks prior to the assassination. He had gone to Mexico to the Cuban embassy and had a trip down there with maybe himself, maybe someone else that they couldn't identify.
Yeah, yep, I believe that is correct. There's a lot of shady dealings with this dude and with foreign governments, so that immediately brings up the okay, who else is involved? If Oswald is the sole shooter and was the guy. So back to real quick your talks about the gun, the angle, and the building. Most people that go to Plaza Square go sit up in the perch where he was, and they're like, oh dude, I can make that shot. Like, it's
Right.
not that far. It looks big on TV and it looks big in the pictures, but most people look at it are like, oh no, like this is super easy. I think Joe Rogan even said he could probably have made that shot with his bow.
Yeah. Now, the thing about that, though, it's not just a matter of the specifics and this, obviously the height, the distance, the speed. It's also the fact that you got to look at who is doing the shooting. And we're talking about Oswald here, so I'll start
He
there.
had military training though.
Yes, he had military training, but he wasn't like an elite marksman. But you didn't have to be. But Oswald himself, from what I was researching, he had a long history of it might be mental illness. Obviously, there's some form of mental illness there. Just how deep that goes, I don't know. He had, I believe, threats against Eisenhower, and even said he was going to kill Nixon. And I believe he'd shot at a general at one point. So, yeah, clearly you've got to take into account who's doing the shooting. Not just how good of marksmen are they, but what kind of mental state are they in? Is adrenaline pumping? Are they nonchalant, don't care? Because these are things that go into making a shot like that. Uh, because when the adrenaline kicks in, when you're making a shot, when the pressure is on and you're about to assassinate somebody, in that moment, yeah, it might be an easy shot if you're shooting beer bottles. In the moment, taking a life, assassinating someone of that high profile, yeah, that's where questions really come into the mental state. What kind of mind frame is he in to actually be able to do it?
So obviously, if he truly did shoot the president, obviously just shooting a person, you're in a terrible mental state to
Right.
want to go down that road.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
uh, but his marksmanship was called into question, and he was trained by the U.S. Marine Corps. And so some critics of his marksmanship, I guess, brought up that there's other facts to it. So 3 shells in a bolt action rifle, and so those that don't know, bolt action rifle, you literally have to lift up, pull back, and eject, and then insert the next, lock it back down, pull up, aim, and shoot. So he got 3 rounds off, and they said between, I think it was like 4.8 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.8 to 5.6 seconds. So that's not a lot of time for a bolt
No.
action, aim, shoot, bolt action, aim, shoot. And that's one of the biggest probably criticisms of him being the lone shooter is some folks think that might be difficult, and some
Yep.
folks look at his marksmanship record in the Marines, and it wasn't that good, and they say even at that distance and that angle, that was just too much to go on
And
and
the high pressure of it.
get those 3 shots off that
Yeah.
fast. Now, and some people blame the gun, saying the gun's just inaccurate and that's why they didn't believe it. And I've seen that one debunked a couple of times. People argue over if the Carcana was actually a good rifle. The video you sent me earlier, it's pretty plain and to the point.
Yeah.
If you got a good barrel, it's
Yeah.
going to be accurate. I mean, like,
Yeah. Clean the gun, keep a good barrel. Yeah. It is what it is. But no, you're right. Like, it just comes down to that situation. And so we talked about him and being his marksmanship, his mental state, and the specifics of the shot. But then, of course, there's the actual hit itself, which almost makes no sense when you look at the shot from where he was, the speed, the distance, and then the reaction of the hit, the fatal hit, of course, because the shot. Okay, so they're saying the three shots, right? Now the limited amount of time of him to reload, shoot, bolt, action, so on and so forth. That's pretty impressive for anybody to do, especially someone in that state who wasn't a great marksman, maybe. Uh, but the reactive hit, the fatal shot, was not maybe a part of where he was. If there was a second shooter, the angle of the hit is why people think that there was another shooter on the grassy knoll.
So yeah, in the whole grassy knoll theory, and maybe we should go through, and we're gonna pop up the Zapruder film, and those that listening in or who may not know the Zapruder film, that was a legendary video posted. Nobody had, I don't was it Geraldo? Geraldo was the first one to publicly air it on his talk show.
Is that right?
Way back in the 70s.
God.
And you watch the president get his head blown off on national TV.
Yeah, it is. It's
Crazy.
still. I mean, it's obviously still very extreme footage, so viewer discretion advised. But it's such a famous clip now. I feel like a lot of people have seen it. So, but
Yeah.
still, it is still very graphic.
So I'm going to play it on here, and I'm not going to have any audio with it because we can talk through this and kind of rewind, fast forward, and all that, and have some. Oh, I don't want to say have some fun with it, but let me get the
Analyze.
There you go. Okay, get that changed up. So here we go. This is just a 30-second clip, and this is probably closest to the original. Apologize those watching, but this is how they tried to frame it to make it like almost a still image while it's playing along. So this is probably the most accurate view you can get of what happened that day. So you see Kennedy wave, they get behind this sign, and then it's immediately right there as he comes out from behind that sign.
Yeah.
You see he's grabbing his neck. Now that's the magic bullet. Am I incorrect on that?
No, that'd be right, because initially they thought there was a first shot that could maybe be a car backfiring. But this shot specifically, now if you break it down and look at it scientifically, like I think one of the clips I sent you, it goes through him, and then it goes through Connolly, and then goes through Connolly's wrist. The projectile makes sense, but the bullet kind of going nuts after it goes through Kennedy makes sense to the injuries to Connolly. So it is absolutely possible that that bullet did that.
So yeah, the magic bullet theory is that this bullet entered through the back of Kennedy's neck, came out through the front, went through Connolly's body, came out, hit his wrist and broke his wrist bone, and came out completely intact. So the one thing that I found interesting on the video that I'd never seen that you had sent me earlier is the mechanics of the bullet itself is actually it's a very durable bullet. Now, my argument with that, and probably with any other conspiracy theorist, would be, okay, then if that's the case, like the other bullets and even bullet fragments inside the body of Connolly and his x-rays, you can see little metal shavings, but the bullet is still pristine. And I believe that's the only bullet that hit Connolly, while Kennedy had, multiple shots. But
well, they only recovered 2 casings, if I'm not mistaken. So if that first shot was a shot, they never found the casing, and it could have just been a car backfiring. Maybe nobody actually shot there.
So there was actually another person shot that day, I do believe. I might have to look this up and verify it, but they believe the first shot actually was a complete miss and actually ricocheted and hit a gentleman, I believe, on the underpass that they eventually drive through in this video.
Okay.
You ever heard that one?
Yeah, I feel like that sounds familiar.
All right, so we're gonna keep playing through the Zapruder film here. So right now, Kennedy's grabbing his neck, and obviously, right now, you see his wife turn. There's obvious concern in the vehicle at this point, and the crowd likely has very little idea what's going on.
Now, on this part, where if it went through Kennedy and struck Connolly through his body, hit his wrist, they say he's reaching for his gun, which would be impossible if his wrist were damaged. But that's also kind of his job, so it's still instinctive, even if he's not physically capable of doing it, right? He's carrying a gun that's the president. You instinctively think to protect him, do you not?
Right, right. Well, but he's the governor. He's not the Secret Service guy. So,
Right, right. But if
and
he's carrying a weapon,
if the magic bullet went through and hit him in the hand and broke his hand, he ain't reaching for a gun. He's probably going, "What in the hell just happened to my hand?"
right. And yeah, and maybe that's what he's doing. People think he's reaching for a gun. We don't know.
So right here, we got the frame where this is the most controversial. So the explosion of his front forehead, and I'm trying to back it up as close to frame by frame as I can. So as he's riding along here, we're about 12 seconds in, and as we move frame to frame along here, we'll see a bullet that came from behind, and right there you see splatter almost shooting out in front of his head, and being shot from behind causes a, I could kind of see where a lot of people would think that, or the other way. This is one of those ones that, depending on your experience with ballistics
Yeah.
and shooting and anything you've done, but there's a lot involved here with it especially when it comes to the skull and what the skull's reaction to this is. So the theory is the bullet comes in through the back of his head, and then when it comes out, it kind of like blows out the front of his skull, causing this splatter.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, his body kind of jerks backwards because of it. And that's why people are like, well, you shot from the front. That's the grassy knoll, right? Somebody
Mhm.
else had to shot him from the front side.
Yeah. There's the jerk. Now, obviously, I guess it comes down to angling and how he's sitting in the car. Which way was he moving after getting hit? Because any twist, turn, or movement of any sort is going to determine how another shot affects his movement. Uh, so it's really, really hard to recreate exactly how that fatal shot would make him move. It's almost impossible. It's such a unique set of events and statistics that it's almost impossible to even think about. But yeah, like you said, it's so easy to look at that as a shot from the front or a shot from the back.
Yeah, it's interesting watching it over and over, and kind of playing it back and seeing the, just imagine being there that day and then this happened
Oh
right in front of you. That'd be,
yeah,
first it'd be horrifying, but
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot to just that film, which they didn't want to release that film for, oh
yeah.
dear, how,
Obvious reasons.
yeah, well, yeah, that that right there, you know. Um yeah, it leans more credit to not only, those not scientifically educated on ballistics and how that could happen, to create more of a conspiracy, because that just lends to the credence of, well, there's no way he did that. Really, he if Oswald did the three shots and he could get them all off in that time frame, um then he missed completely on the first one. So yeah, he was probably not a good marksman, but it's not that hard of a shot to make, according to several people. The second one was was a little off and was wrong, and he took the third shot and scored pay dirt on it, and completed his mission. And I think that's where the conspiracy goes. Is I think most people are pretty convinced Oswald did it, or at least attempted to do it, or was involved with it. So he's
Mhm.
likely guilty. He screamed that he was a patsy, after they caught
Well,
him. But
yeah.
sure, I'm a
Who's
patsy
not going to
too.
do
Yeah, I'm a patsy. But
that?
so
Yeah.
it just leans into the, okay, so then you start asking the questions of why and who and how, and you start breaking it down of, okay, why are we trying to kill JFK? What was the purpose for killing JFK? And then you look into his history, and all of this boils up. So he's involved, almost guaranteed. Whether
Hmm.
he's a patsy or not, he's involved at some level, pulling the trigger to setting things up, whatever. He's there. Like, he is there. People seen him there. So he is involved, regardless.
Oh, he's absolutely involved. I guess what it really comes down to is, was he the only shooter, and did he deliver the fatal shot? Because that's what's really in question. But he was absolutely involved, and there's no doubt in my mind that he actually delivered that shot that went through Kennedy and hit Connolly. Uh, let's see. Part of the stuff that came out, as far as the new information, there's a 413-page memo documenting numerous threats against JFK, ranging from KKK to mentally ill people, which obviously Oswald could fall into. And then it also has a portion that asks a former CIA director, is there any information involved with the assassination of Kennedy which in any way shows that Lee Harvey Oswald is in some way a CIA agent or ... and the document abruptly cuts off. So I would assume that's probably part of the stuff that Trump has not released. So, and I think the reasoning he gave was because it would kind of change a lot of things, national security, etc., etc. So, yeah, that could be a huge puzzle piece right there that we just are not going to ever have access to. So if he was just an unstable patsy, kind of put in this place by a group like the KKK or the CIA, I almost think that there would have been another shooter that day just to kind of ensure that it was fulfilled. Because if he was as unstable as they say, can you trust him to get the job done without having a backup plan in place? So I think it's entirely plausible, just looking at the footage, that there could have been a second shooter there in case he missed. And it's debatable whether or not he missed once or twice.
Yep. And that, the second shooter theory, whether it was Grassy Knoll or other locations, and how that lays out, that leads into the next killing that happened immediately afterwards of JD Tippit, which was the police officer that supposedly had tried to approach and stop him after the shooting. A lot of people believe that whether it was Oswald or this second person, one of them had actually killed that police officer, and the other shooter got away and left Oswald behind to take the rap for the whole deal.
Yeah. And then, obviously, there's a ton of stuff on Oswald here, but Oswald being assassinated, like that gets screwy in itself, obviously. And I mean, that's a much more clear cut assassination, because that everybody saw that happen. That was pretty clear cut, dry case. But who did that? What led to that? That is just a whole other mystery stacked on top of a mystery. That's highly interesting to me.
So, are you going to tell me the most high profile convict you have in the country um, is just going to get murdered in front of God and everybody, or is it going to be like a high profile person in prison like Jeffrey Epstein that just gets to hang
Hmm.
himself?
Yeah, exactly. The FBI knew about a threat against Oswald, and essentially they did nothing. The FBI received a call from an anonymous man who claimed to be the head of a committee with the goal of killing Oswald. Dallas PD assured the FBI protection to be given, but clearly not enough happened, because you watch the footage. I mean, there's nothing. It's almost laughable that somebody that high profile could be in that open of an area and just be left open to having it happen, because you knew it was going to happen. You could almost feel it before it happens, right? Everybody there's like, where's it coming from? Like, this is going to happen.
Yeah, one of and I didn't give you this one beforehand. I just happened to glance over it as I was reading through some other documents here. But Have you heard anything about George Bush being a part of the JFK assassination, or him being involved? Is he? I believe at the time he was working for the CIA. I've seen people thought he was
Okay.
a director, but he wasn't the director
No.
till like the mid to late 70s or something. But the big thing is nobody could confirm his whereabouts on the day of the assassination. Um, and that's a whole nother episode of George W. Bush being involved with a whole lot of shady stuff. He's probably just as bad as the Clintons, if not partners with them.
Well, anybody who gets a high profile enough position to become president, the skeletons in the closet of these people, it's insanity. Now, Trump, obviously, he was an open book because we got reality TV shows of him, so we knew half of his skeletons already. But, like, yeah, lifelong politicians such as the Clintons or the Bushes, yeah, the ladder to success is a bloody one. So, yeah, I am a little intrigued by this because, no, I'm not familiar with the idea that Bush is involved in it. So please go ahead, head into it. I'm interested.
So supposedly, there's this gentleman. I'm trying to find his name here. It was a Jorge de Morinchild. So he was a geologist,
Say that
and
one more time.
yeah, thanks. No, I'm not going to look it up, folks. Anyway, so he's a geologist. He's friends with Bush and with Oswald, and so supposedly he had wrote a letter to George Bush asking for assistance. Um, and he had all kinds of other things going on, being pressured from different avenues throughout the government. But supposedly, George Bush failed to respond to the letter, and 6 months later, this gentleman committed suicide. Um,
Right.
yeah, I always love suicides on
Yeah,
here.
it's you got to be specific with it nowadays.
Um, is there a body count to the JFK assassination? Because
Oh
like
my God.
the Oliver Stone movie like made it sound like everybody involved died right afterwards. Is that true? Do you know?
No, I guess I don't know, but
I'm gonna have to look that up. That'll be
it's
part.
got to be a good chunk of people because yeah, that's
Yeah,
yikes.
there's got to be something to that. Um, so yeah, it's just another avenue of George H. W. Bush, George
Yes.
Bush Senior, not Junior, the late president. Um, I don't know what there's what are your thoughts? Like, is there's a lot of roads to go down. Whether you do Cuban conspiracy and internal conspiracy of our own government's trying to take him down because he was doing too much and going too crazy and afraid he was going to let loose. I've even heard he was going to announce that there were aliens and that's why they wanted him off. I've heard
Right.
it all.
Right. No, I think a lot of it kind of comes down to what his relationship was with like the FBI and the CIA. Now, obviously, these are highly regarded organizations within the government, but obviously he didn't get along with the CIA great. I guess I'm not 100% sure how awful his relationship was with the FBI, but if Bush is obvious, like you take the fact that he became president out of it, because that's all you can look at now is because HW became president and his son becomes president, so on and so forth. That's all you think about. But he's involved in the CIA. He's very high in the CIA. So obviously, I mentioned a few minutes ago that the ladder to the top is a bloody one. So it's highly plausible that if the CIA was involved in killing Kennedy, he would obviously be a big gear in that process.
Yeah,
Because
would be.
somebody who climbs the ladder and eventually becomes president is probably going to be a higher suspect than somebody who didn't.
Right.
I
So,
mean, that's just kind of the way it goes.
yeah. I don't know. He was upsetting a lot of folks back then and doing a lot of oh I honestly I wasn't alive in the 60s obviously. I don't even think I was thought of in the 60s. I don't think I was ever thought of. I just showed up one day. Oh shit, that guy. Oh man, another one. But yep. That's what you call an accident, folks, right here. All right.
Preaching to the choir, man.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, there's a lot to go into on this. And like you said, we're kind of doing an introductory here of, there's links to the Bush family, there's links to the CIA, there's multiple shooters, there's Cuba, there's Russia, there's communism, there's so many avenues to take this, and each one could take an
I was
hour,
saying,
2 hour, 3 hour podcast.
yeah,
So
we could dive an episode into each connecting, conflicting thing. It's impossible. One of the things, if we don't want to get into it tonight, was I found kind of interesting the Umbrella Man theory. Are you familiar with any of that?
yeah, some folks, so they're on the Zapruder film, or no, I don't even think it was on the Zapruder film. I think it was actually photos taken from
There's
somebody.
multiple angles,
So
photographs of it,
it's a sunny day, and randomly this dude opens up an umbrella.
and
That's
just stands there.
yeah.
There's
So
no raincoats. Nobody's wearing raincoats. Nobody else has umbrellas, and you just see from multiple angles, right there as the motorcade's passing by, a guy holding a black umbrella over his head. I
so
looked in
why would one do that?
right now. Obviously, the conspiracy aspects jumped into this immediately. It's just before the shots are fired. You can see him from multiple angles. Like you said, beautiful day, no rain. People had to assume immediately that this was part of the assassination itself, that some people went so far as to think that this was an intricate gun, and having it opened, it somehow launched bullets. Maybe that's how we got these weird trajectories. When apparently he actually had to go, he was identified, and he had to go to a Senate hearing, I believe, to explain why he was there with the open umbrella. And it turns out it was just in some form of diluted protest, I think in opposition of something that Kennedy's father had done. It's some just awkward thing that was so like just random that it almost had to be true. Because obviously the conspiracy theory was even more outlandish, but it was so weird. It was a very strange form of protest, but that was the reasoning given.
Yeah. Mm. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a
Right.
duck.
Must be a zebra.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like
Every
again,
petting zoo I've been to.
right? Again, I wasn't alive in the '70s or the '60s, so I don't know if bringing an
Oh,
umbrella.
no. Everybody had an umbrella gun.
Well, yeah. Oh my god, I just it is shady. Like I don't know if I
It
want
is.
to.
It's weird.
It's super weird. An umbrella? I'm gonna open an umbrella.
That's how you protest, I guess, in the
You
60s.
suck, Mr. President. Like, you think he gives a shit?
You can't tell me they didn't have oak tag and markers back then. You can't make a sign. What the fuck
Make a
good? This
WWE
umbrella.
sign. If you
Like he's standing there.
smell,
He's standing there with the open umbrella. Man, I'm really gonna show this asshole right now. Then he gets shot. Hold.
oh shit! But
What do
no,
I do now?
it came in handy. It stopped the blood splatter from hitting him.
Yeah, I guess in hindsight.
Uh, so yeah, uh, there's a long ways to go. So I guess this will be the start of a mini series. When we run out of topics and ideas, we can jump down each of these rabbit holes one by
Yeah.
one. We can talk about Cubans. We can talk about everything. I will probably just throw it out there that plug your ears, those that are sensitive. This whole thing is fucked.
It is. Every bit of it.
It's bad. It, the fact that even Wikipedia has like 30 pages on this is ridiculous. Of not only the conspiracies, but like the facts, and then like the actual resource page on Wikipedia. Holy crap! There are 474 references to documentation on this just on Wikipedia.
Yeah. It's insane. Well, and I think a lot of that it's such an interesting case, and such a high profile one, and then obviously with the release of new documentation and information, the interest has reignited. So, yeah, there's going to be, and obviously Wikipedia is take it or leave it type of take it with a grain of salt
Yeah.
information.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The rabbit hole can become fact real quick, and somebody comes along. Wait a minute, hang on. Then somebody changes that. Yeah, Wikipedia is fun, but it's like Wikipedia is fake news.
It's it's kind of the definition of fake news. Well, yeah, but sometimes it's more accurate than the real news.
I know, that's the problem. Like, I always go to it. Like, that's usually the first thing I click on if I look for something is Wikipedia.
We got problems. Yeah. We got problems in this country if Wikipedia is the best resource we got. It's more factual than CNN.
Well, you know, I guess it goes hand in
hand. CNN, home of fake news.
Well, we had to watch the Husker game on Fox Business Channel yesterday.
Yeah, that was messed up. I kept I don't keep segue. Yeah. So sorry, folks. Real quick before we leave the topic of JFK, if you want to hear a specific rabbit hole to go down in the future, Tony and I will gladly entertain any thoughts and dedicate a special just around that piece of it. But yes, Husker football. What'd you think this weekend? So we had to watch it on Fox Business because Iowa and Iowa State had a double lightning delay. So they got extended, which I get it. That was probably more of an interesting game. And honestly, I was jumping back and forth between the two. Yeah. So I get it. It was the better game to actually air until the Iowa State game was over. And then I'm watching Fox Business going, what in the hell am I watching?
Yeah. Like, well, they bumped us down to FS2 initially. And then that had like NHR drag racing. So then they dumped us down to Fox Business that nobody has. Like, I got YouTube TV specifically because it had BTN and all the sports channels. I don't get Fox Business on YouTube TV, so we had to create a new Hulu Live account and do the trial.
Yeah, baby, Hulu Live. I had it. I was good to go.
Just so I could watch this damn thing. So we get to the half and then go back to the Iowa State conclusion, and okay, fine. Just a mess. A complete failure on Fox part. Like, you didn't have an alternate channel. You had to dump a college football game down to Fox Business.
Might have been the highest ratings Fox Business has had in a long time.
Oh, well, yeah. What did we interrupt? What was the show that was on?
It was some lady. It was the name of a show was some lady's name I'd never heard of. So I was like, okay, well.
Well, poor her, I guess.
Poor thing.
Terrible. Yeah, failure on Fox's part. But, yeah, I guess the game itself, man, I don't know. It started out a little wonky. There was some stuff I really didn't like in the first half, but they settled down a little bit towards the end. It even got Vedral in there to play cleanup duty, which is something
I like that. Vedral, like, I know he's only in there for, one drive, but
still,
it was impressive. Like, I know he's probably against their second string as well, but like, if you had any questions if Martinez gets hurt and how our backup's going to make a decision, like he had a couple of tricky little plays there that he had to make some decisions with, and he made fine damn decisions. Like I was happy with it.
No, I mean, and that's something we haven't seen for a long time is cleanup duty, because we haven't been in a position to be able to do cleanup duty. But Vedral's known, Frost playbook for longer than Martinez has. So seeing him go out and run it fluently was not surprising, but it is very nice to see that.
Yeah, it was refreshing, and I tell you what, I think no matter how it looked, special teams was great, minus a couple of I've never seen so many block kicks in a single game. What the hell?
I cannot believe how bad punting and kicking and just all of it in general. Like,
it was messed up. Like,
there had to have been a magnet in the damn ball. Like, it seemed effortless to block the ball. I don't know. It got to be infuriating, honestly. Just like, I don't even want to see it at this point. Don't go after it. Just don't. And they still did. Like, oh, look at that, another block. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just like, get this damn thing going. But the score, honestly, that's my big takeaway from it, was the score in the end, a 36-point deficit. that was more in tune with what we were seeing 10 years ago, when we were thinking we were finally on our way back. So it's refreshing to see that score again. But damn, it it took all 4 quarters to get every bit of that comfortable score, and they were actually laying some pretty hard, nasty hits on us on defense, if from start to finish. So I feel
They
like we're still
they weren't
playing.
giving up for
No,
a team that
no, not at
only
all.
scored 8 points. Like they were playing with some heart. Like
Yeah,
they weren't slacking.
I only saw like 1 point of the game where he actually made the conscious decision on time to take off and run and actually turned it into something. Because other than that, it was still the same gun shy. I'm gonna wait till the last possible second and then take off and get smeared. And he needs to learn how to slide. He gets lit up. He gets dumped on his side. He's going to be having hip surgery real soon at this rate.
Could have been worse. Could have been, what was that, Mississippi against Kansas State?
Oh, Mississippi State, K-State. Yeah, that dude did a barrel roll
It was
flip. Oh my God.
helicopter.
That was amazing.
That was
That
awesome. I saw Brett DeLay shared that like 5 times on Facebook, but I was like, I watched every one of them.
Oh, that
It's
was
crazy.
incredible. Yeah, that was a hell of a hit. That was fun to watch. And yeah, he was fine. And he was fine.
Yeah, yeah. He was even looking like, how close was I to the first down? Like, no. So Adrian Martinez, 16 of 27 for 257 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran 44 yards on 11 carries with 1 touchdown there. So not overall, like, yeah, I see what you're saying. He was gun shy a few times, wasn't making the best decisions throughout the whole game. But at the same time, you come out of that Colorado game, I'm sure there's some
Yeah.
jitters.
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice to see them rebound this way after such a heartbreaking loss again to Colorado. But it's still it's against Northern Illinois, and now we head into another night game on the road though at Illinois, and they're probably a worse team than Northern Illinois. It's a road game, so it kind of evens out, but we are not going to really know what kind of team we have yet. And if we go and shit the bed in Champaign, look out.
Oh yeah, people will be wanting some heads.
Yeah.
So just
I feel a lot better going into this game, though.
I do too, because of the stats. So receiving, what we passed around to 9 different receivers.
Well, there you go. What was I saying about finding somebody besides Spielman to take some of the load?
Yeah. So Spielman only had 4 catches. With let's see, Noah had 3. We had Wandale Robinson with 3. Finally, we get to see him in the out in space a little bit instead of just taking the rush. They stopped him in the backfield for the most part. They only rushed Wandale twice, which I thought they could have utilized him more. But I get, like, Dedrick Mills, he was the workhorse, and I see why. Like the first 2 games, I'm like, man, why are they betting so much on this Mills kid? I'm not seeing it, but I seen it this game. Like, yeah,
it's coming together.
11 carries, 10.5 yards a carry. Yeah, give him the ball, dude. I'm down.
Yeah. And Jack Stoll finally got a little bit more look, but man, I feel like it has to be said, he probably would have broke it to the house more times than once if he wouldn't have shaved the damn Stoll off. What was he thinking? The bullet was amazing. He shaves it off, and he just total nosedive. Grow it back out, man. Hopefully by Iowa that thing's back in full glory, and we can enjoy it, and you'll be on fire again. But no, he actually had a couple really good plays, but off a step.
Yeah, I really was. I was impressed with a lot of our defense. I wish we had a few more sacks. We came after him a few times and snuck through on a few plays that we probably should have been able to wrap them up. But Jojo Doman leading the defense on tackles, fantastic job. Carlos Davis 1.5 sacks and 3 tackles. Muhammad Berry up there, of course. You expect him to be leading the charge, but Doman, that's another game. Like this kid came out of nowhere. We weren't talking about him in preseason.
No, and to have that early success and be able to maintain it through 3 games now, he's been everywhere. So keep it up, keep it churning. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far on defense, and I think if they can keep this momentum going forward, creating turnovers, making plays, man, by November they could be one of the better units. Hopefully.
Yeah. Do you think Armstrong's going to be our kicker?
God, no. No. Nope.
Who's
Nope.
gonna be a kicker? I want a kicker.
I'll go do it at this point. I mean, it can't be that hard. If they're offering tryouts to random people on the street, yeah, I just.
Yeah, that's a bad position.
We clearly need to dump a lot
points in a
more.
big game. When we have Ohio State coming up, that's a position you have to have filled. That could cost you a close game, and if it comes down to crunch time, and we actually put up a fight against Ohio State, which I don't know if we will. I really don't know if that's even possible. But if we did, and it came down to a kicker, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Yeah, no, I don't even want to do any kicking. If the game's on the line, just go for it. Dial into the playbook and just figure out a play to go for it. Pick up the first down, get the score, whatever. Like, that's what we clearly should have done against Colorado, in hindsight. Like, we had no chance at that. 48 yards? No. And clearly, in this Northern Illinois game, it's no better. So, we clearly need to dump more effort into recruiting a good kicker because, man, we got spoiled for so long in that regard. It was automatic. We knew if we didn't get 7 and we were still down there, we were getting 3. And we have not had that luxury for a while now, and it sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can't get into a dogfight and expect to come away with a win without a kicker. Yeah, that's my big takeaway.
Yeah. So next week should be another fun one to watch. You got another night game in Illinois, I do believe. It looks like 7:00 is what kickoff is looking like. So be another fun one. I love those night games. They're always fun. We usually do well with a night game, and we need a road win.
Yes, clearly after that.
Yeah. So look forward to it. Should be a good night. We'll head into the Ohio State game with 1 loss, hopefully, is the goal here. And see how that goes. Ohio State look good, though. So more on that next week.
They look like a world beater right now. I mean, they're playing at a high level. They don't miss Urban Meyer yet. I don't know. I'd say they're kind of back in the driver's seat on the East Division right now, with Michigan kind of almost losing to Army. I think Ohio State's kind of the team to beat again. And Penn State struggled with Pitt yesterday.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I had $20 on that game because it was such a sure bet. I put $20 on it to win $2, and I was nervous.
How about that Michigan State game? Did you see that one?
Oh, wow. Can you believe Herm Edwards is winning at this rate? Like, really?
So the end of the game, though, the 12
Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Like, and D'Antonio will not shut up about it. Like, he's pissed. It's your fault.
So there was so much wrong with it. So
yeah.
First off, so it's for those that didn't see the game, so it comes down to a field goal. Michigan State's got the ball. They're in range for a field goal. They go to kick the field goal. They make it. There's a flag on the play. And so when they have the flag, they wave it off and they say, no, there was not a 12th man on the field. Wave off the flag. There is no penalty. And then the booth calls down and says, oh, hold on. We're reviewing this.
Yeah.
There was actually a 12th man on the field.
Clearly.
Lined up. It's not a guy running off the sideline like you would think in most scenarios when you have the extra guy on the field. This guy was lined up. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know, you got your first team kick, your first team kick squad going out there. Like, you know, it's like,
yeah,
you guys practice this together every day. Not one of these assholes looked to their left and right and went, hey, dude, what are you doing here?
Yeah. They're so focused. They're so focused on that moment that they couldn't get right. It's always funny to look at and be like, how do you do that every time it happens? But it is hard to do it in the moment. You can't account for everybody else because then you've already lost that play.
So then they get backed up and they have to re-kick. And they totally, like, botch that kick. It was terrible. Lose the game because nobody identified the 12 people on the field. And then the coach is, like you said, he's bitching about referees and how the game was called. Now there were some weird calls earlier in the game, if I do recall correctly, but still.
It was just an ugly game all around. Like that's you can clearly tell that this is that Michigan State team that has no offense and is going to win games solely off of their vaunted defense. That's the D'Antonio special. But yeah, his attitude towards a screw up like that, you need to get over it. That was clearly your team's fault. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that was good. Pitt
Sorry.
was Pitt was an entertaining game. It was funny. We had some friends over last night, and one of them's a Gophers fan, which the Gophers barely snuck one out. And then his wife's an Iowa fan, and they barely snuck out against Iowa State, and then the Huskers dominated. So for once, I got to wear my big red shirt and celebrate and
Yes.
really good about everything. And the Bears must have just scored, Tony.
Oh,
Finally.
well,
Yes.
No, they had the co-host over here.
Yeah, you got a creepy crawler on your back there, buddy.
I do. No, they Denver scored, and instead of going for the kick, they're going for two. They got a flag, so I think now they're taking a timeout. I'll look back in a second. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously Michigan State's not going to do anything in the East this year of note. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State is going to come down to them clearly. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to play Ohio State, but yeah, I'm also still terrified of them.
Yeah. It could be a scary deal. So I don't know, man. I know you got things coming up here. You got some RXW podcasts that you're recording tonight as well with you and Phil. What are we got to look forward to on that?
Yep, I'm actually heading out to. Me and this guy are going to go grab some milk for him and his brothers. Then I'm going to go meet Phil and do a little Clash of Champions podcast.
What's Clash of Champions?
Ah, there it is! Flag again. They went to the kick it this time and they missed it, but there's a flag. Okay, so Clash of Champions, sorry. I got so much shit going on. It's not even funny. Clash of Champions, if you remember back.
Kid go?
He's back there.
He just disappeared.
I know. He's a magician, I guess. It's, back in the day, NWA, WCW, that kind of era, Clash of Champions was one of their huge shows, and they kind of revitalized the concept. All the titles are on the line in one show, and there are a ton of titles in WWE these days. So, yeah, it's probably going to be another long show, but probably a really good one. It's sure as hell going to beat the hell out of it.
Is this a pay-per-view, or?
Yep, awesome. And all WWE stuff's exclusively network. I mean, you can pay $60 for pay-per-view if you want, or you can pay $11 for the network and watch it for free. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty good show. There's a lot of good matches, and it's going to blow the absolute hell out of most of the AEW show from Labor Day weekend, which, oh, God.
Yeah, those haven't been going well from what I hear, so.
They have got some really good stuff, but man, they really miss attention to detail. It's starting out, I get that. But man, two big things I don't like about them so far are they think every match needs to be epically long. Like a match that should go like 8 to 10 minutes goes 25 minutes. Kick out of the finishers each 3 times, 8 run-ins.
It's like WCW all over again.
Yeah, just stupidly long matches that don't need to be. Like, I get it, you don't have a TV show. Your format right now is pay-per-view, so you want these big, long matches. But damn, it gets tiresome.
So,
and then
are they in the works for a TV production deal? Like,
yep,
you would imagine that's the moneymaker, isn't it? That's how you get the fan base.
It's all set. TNT in October. TNT will have wrestling again.
Turner's getting back into it, huh?
Well, I mean, it's going to be fun, but they're not going head-to-head with WWE. They're going head-to-head on Wednesday nights with NXT, which is WWE's, like, developmental brand. But they're bringing that to USA Network to go head-to-head with the AEW. So it's going to be kind of
actually a secondary thing. Because, like, and whenever I watch it, and I see, like, WWE reactions and I see Vince McMahon reacting to him. Like, is this real, or is this like one of those, like, hey, like, do something because our industry's slowly crumbling a little bit, and we need competition to spark things up and get people
Right.
excited again. Like, how much is WWE and McMahon involved in the creation of AEW? I'm really curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, people initially thought that, and rightfully so, because competition breeds success, and obviously it's the product's been on a pretty big downturn numbers wise compared to where it was in its heyday in the early 2000s, late 90s. But no, this is not McMahon. The money coming in is from Tony Khan and his dad, which they've got a lot of it. He owns the Jaguars as well. And he got together with the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and Kenny Omega out of New Japan, and they kind of started putting this together. They've done like 5 pay-per-views now, maybe 6, I guess, if you want to count the one, but yeah, they got this TV deal lined up. It's all on them. There's no involvement. They've got a lot of guys not well known is kind of the core of their roster, but you've also got guys that were like Dean Ambrose came back to his indie name, John Moxley, Chris Jericho is their first world champion coming out of this last show. So, I mean, they're doing some good things the right way. You need a big name as your first champ. They did that. But, man, the other big thing I don't love about it is the structure of their matches. Like, some of the guys like the Young Bucks think all you can do are flips and drop kicks and super kicks. Not a lot of storytelling in some of the matches. But it's a pretty good blend of everything. But so the core fan base that they're going to have is really going to be hardcore fans of AEW.
Hey, he's got something for you.
Thank you.
No, that's a good breakdown of it, because yeah, I was just like, oh, did Vince McMahon create his own competition? So nothing.
No, and he is taking it seriously by going head to head with it, but he's obviously not putting Raw or SmackDown on with it. He's letting the developmental go head to head with it. So he's acknowledging it as a threat, but he's not dumping all of his effort into it.
That's good. It could help them grow, and like you said, competition breeds success. So
yeah, and he let WCW in the back door back in the day. He's not going to make that mistake twice.
Awesome. I don't know what else you got tonight. Do we get any news stories? I don't know if I have any.
I got nothing for you tonight. I'm just kind of finishing up this and the Bears game, and
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. You got a one-eyed monkey behind you now.
I know. He's all over me. All right. Cool.
All right, folks. I think that's going to wrap it up tonight. And appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, share, subscribe as always. And yeah, we got a lot more to do with the JFK thought process. And we'll keep giving you some updates on thoughts on Huskers. And next week, I promise, we'll have some good news stories and give you some fun fake news, real news. Who knows? It'll be funny stuff either way. But yeah. Kind of pounding out a podcast. We got to get back into the groove of things and get back to a consistent timeline and timetable. I got to start getting better about uploading the audio version, because I have been terrible with that lately. So promise you folks, we'll get back on track here. We'll get everything all lined up, organized, fixed, and moving forward. Tony, any last words as we sign off?
No, just looking forward to hopefully a Husker win on Saturday, and yeah, like you said, we're going to get back on track, and we'll have some funny stuff for you next week.
Sounds good. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.
Later.